To the Blessed One, the Lord, who fully attained perfect enlightenment, to the teaching which he expounded so well, and to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, to these the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, we render with offerings our rightful homage. It is well for us that the Blessed One, having attained liberation, still had compassion for later generations. May these simple offerings be accepted for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and Blessed One, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. The teaching so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha. So welcome everybody who's gathered here this evening. If last night was any indication, there's probably more people watching online right now than that are here, which is kind of interesting. And it's lovely to be able to be initiating the use of this hall and a kind of a formal consecration of the Buddha image, the shrine, the hall itself, and and the building. Really, this is we're able to. It's a culmination of many years of planning and constructing, and it has been a construction site all this time. And this is an opportunity to kind of acknowledge its purpose, its function, as a sacred space rather than the world of contractors and power tools. So its function is for transformation, and to be able to come into this space and transform our own inner confusion, inner restlessness, inner agitation, and allow it to transform into something peaceful and clear. And that's really what the Buddha image symbolizes. And say the recollection of the historical Buddha, but also the transformation of a human being who's taken birth in the world and who transformed himself into a liberated being. And that example is an example that is valid for us today. And similarly, in the sense of transforming a piece of stone into a symbol of our aspiration, because we have the opportunity to, say, using the image and the and then to use it to call to mind what we what we aspire to, what we hold dear. And the Buddha is always in a symbol of peace, and both inner peace but also external peace. Just the way that the Buddha set up a way of living that, as human beings, we can live in harmony and live peacefully. And then, of course, on an inner level, to be peaceful and clear. But I think also that sense of external peace is not the image of the Buddha or the example of the Buddha, and the path that he gave is one that allows us as human beings that are, human beings in general can be a pretty cantankerous lot and not that easy to get along with. But with effort, we can actually change. We can actually live with each other, accommodate each other, help and support each other. So that I think that so that to recollect the Buddha as a symbol, and then this whole ceremony today, this evening, is an opportunity to really imbue a physical image with our own aspiration and our own recognition of some sort of higher purpose, kind of higher truth. Because it's as human beings, it's easy to, especially modern human beings, just to sort of go to the cynical and the kind of the negative. It's we're bombarded with it all the time, so it's easy to be pulled to that. But to be able to use the image of the Buddha and imbue that with our aspiration for what is noble. So this consecration ceremony will be bringing that to mind in the different ways, both through the chanting and the readings and our meditation, and so that we can be recollecting, bringing that to mind. And we'll begin the ceremony by doing a formal calling of the devas, and devas are literally, I think it means shining beings, bright beings. These are, and certainly in terms of Buddhist cosmology, these are celestial beings that are beings of light that live in realms around us, so that if we pay attention to them, they can manifest, even if they and they perform different functions, but the aspect of being protective deities is important, especially in a space like this, which is a space of safety and security. Abhayagiri, fearless mountain, a place of safety and security, and to call the devas to be a presence and a force for goodness, to witness and to acknowledge and to support that. So, Jyotipalo, could you call the devas? Annamayang buddhasa bhagavato pupapakanamagalang karomase. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Yati piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vicacharana samhanno sugato lokavido anuttaro pulisada masarati sata deva manu sanang buddho bhagavati savakato bhagavata Namo Sanhetiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanayiko Pachatangwe Nitam Ho Inyo Heti Supatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Chupatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Nyaya Patipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Samyechi Patipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Yandidanya Nali Polisa Yogani Ata Polisa Pogala Esa Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Hunayo Pahunayo Nhakinayo Anjali Karatniyo Anuttalang Hunya Getang Lokasati. So the next thing they'll do is I'm going to read from a couple selections from the discourses of the Buddha, and these are from the say ancient scriptures, and in the scriptures there's a variety of stories of the Buddha, or accounts of the Buddha, and they're and of course they're mixed up with later extrapolations or proliferations even of the story of the Buddha, and so it's helpful sometimes to go back to the kind of the older layers in the discourses, and see what the flavor of the Buddha's aspiration, his practice was, because there's like some of the stories that are very well known. They're great stories, but they're from sort of, say, hundreds and sometimes even 1,000 years after the time of the Buddha, and so like coming back to, well, what was how did the earliest explanations or pointers, and I think it's helpful, because it's good to get a flavor of what the Buddha held as important and essential, and his vision, in particular, the sense of the first sutta of his determination to leave the world, not get distracted by the opportunity for power, fame, material benefit, and then in the second reading, the sense of the arising of his coming to fruition or flowering of his compassion to teach and to bring benefit to the world. So this first reading is from the Sutta Nipata, and it's the Pambaja Sutta. Pambaja means the going forth. It's a narrator in the scriptures. I will describe the going forth, how he, the one with vision, went forth, how he reasoned and chose the going forth. And this is a quote from probably from something from the Buddha himself. Household life is crowded, a realm of dust, while going forth is the open air. Seeing this, he went forth. On going forth, he avoided evil deeds in body. Abandoning verbal misconduct, he purified his livelihood. Then he, the Buddha, went to Rajgaha, the mountain fortress of the Magadhans, and wandered for alms, endowed with all the foremost marks. King Bimbisara, standing in his palace, saw him, and on seeing him, consummate in marks, said, "Look at this one, sir, how handsome, stately, pure, how consummate his demeanor, mindful, his eyes downcast, looking only a plough length before him, as one who's not from a lowly lineage. Send the royal messengers at once to see where this monk will go." They, the messengers dispatched, followed behind him. Where will this monk go? Where will his dwelling place be? As he went from house to house, well restrained, his sense doors guarded, mindful, alert, his bowl filled quickly. Then he, the sage, completing his alms round, left the city, headed for Mount Pandava. That's where his dwelling will be. Seeing him go to his dwelling place, 3 messengers sat down, while one returned to tell the king. That monk, your majesty, on the flank of Pandava, sits like a tiger, a bull, a lion in a mountain cleft. Hearing the messenger's words, the noble warrior king straightway went by a royal coach out to Mount Pandava. Going as far as the coach would go, he got down, went up on foot, and on arrival sat down. Sitting there, he exchanged courteous greetings, then said, "You are young, youthful, in the first stage of youth, endowed with the stature and coloring of a noble warrior. You would look glorious in the vanguard of an army, arrayed with an elephant squadron. I offer you wealth, enjoy it. I ask your birth, inform me." Straight ahead, your majesty, by the foothills of the Himalayas, is a country consummate in energy and wealth, inhabited by Kosalans, Solar by clan, Sakyans by birth. From that lineage I have gone forth, but not in search of sensual pleasures. Seeing the danger in sensual pleasures and renunciation as rest, I go to strive. That's where my heart delights. And the next reading is an excerpt from the Middle-length Discourses, number 26. It's the discourse, the Sutta on the Noble Search. Bhikkhus, before my enlightenment, while I was still only an unenlightened bodhisattva, I too, being myself subject to birth, sought what was also subject to birth, being myself subject to aging, sickness, death, sorrow, and defilement. I sought what was also subject to aging, sickness, death, sorrow, and defilement. Then I considered thus, why, being myself subject to birth, do I seek what is also subject to birth? Why, being myself subject to aging, sickness, death, sorrow, and defilement, do I seek what is also subject to aging, sickness, death, sorrow, and defilement? Suppose that, being myself subject to birth, having understood the danger in what is subject to birth, I seek the unborn supreme security from bondage, nibbana. Suppose that, being myself subject to aging, sickness, death, sorrow, and defilement, having understood the danger in what is subject to aging, sickness, death, sorrow, and defilement, I seek the unaging, unailing, deathless, sorrowless, and undefiled supreme security from bondage, nibbana. Later, while still young, a black-haired young man endowed with the blessing of youth, in the prime of life, though my mother and father wished otherwise, and wept with tearful faces, I shaved off my hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and went forth from the home life into homelessness. Having gone forth, bhikkhus, in search of what is wholesome, seeking the supreme state of sublime peace, I went to Alara Kalama and said to him, Alara Kalama is a well-known, respected teacher at the time, "Friend Kalama, I want to lead the holy life in this Dhamma and discipline." Alara Kalama replied, "The Venerable One may stay here. This Dhamma is such that a wise man can soon enter upon and abide in it, realizing for himself through direct knowledge his own teacher's doctrine. I soon quickly learned that Dhamma, And then he learned it, he reaped the fruits of it, but then he was still not satisfied. Still in search, bhikkhus, of what is wholesome, seeking the supreme state of sublime peace, I went to Uddaka Ramaputta, and similarly, he mastered that teaching, that practice, but he wasn't satisfied that it led to the goal that he was seeking. Still in search, bhikkhus, of what is wholesome, seeking the supreme state of sublime peace, I wandered by stages through the Magadhan country until eventually I arrived at Uruvela at Senanigamma. There I saw an agreeable piece of ground, a delightful grove, with a clear flowing river with pleasant smooth banks, and nearby a village for alms resort. I considered, this is an agreeable piece of ground. This is a delightful grove, with a clear flowing river with pleasant smooth banks, and nearby a village for alms resort. This will serve for the striving of a clansman intent on striving. And I sat down there thinking, this will serve for striving. Then, bhikkhus, being myself subject to birth, having understood the danger in what is subject to birth, seeking the unborn supreme security from bondage, nibbana, I attained the unborn supreme security from bondage, nibbana. Being myself subject to aging, to sickness, to death, to sorrow, to defilement, having understood the danger in what is subject to defilement, seeking the undefiled supreme security from bondage, nibbana, I attained the undefiled supreme security from bondage, nibbana. The knowledge and vision arose in me. My deliverance is unshakable. This is my last birth. Now there is no renewal of being. I considered, this Dhamma that I have attained is profound, hard to see, and hard to understand, peaceful and sublime, unattainable by mere reasoning, subtle, to be experienced by the wise. But this generation delights in attachment, takes delight in attachment, rejoices in attachment. It is hard for such a generation to see this truth, namely, specific conditionality, dependent origination. And it is hard to see this truth, namely, the stilling of all formations, the relinquishing of all acquisitions, the destruction of craving, dispassion, cessation, nibbana. If I were to teach the Dhamma, others would not understand me, and that would be wearying and troublesome for me. Thereupon there came to me spontaneously these stanzas never heard before. Enough with teaching the Dhamma, that even I found hard to reach, for it will never be perceived by those who live in lust and hate. Those died in lust, wrapped in darkness, will never discern this abstruse Dhamma, which goes against the worldly stream, subtle, deep, and difficult to see. Considering thus, my mind inclined to inaction rather than to teaching the Dhamma. Then bhikkhus, the Brahma Sahampati knew with his mind the thought in my mind, and he considered, the world will be lost, the world will perish, since the mind of the Tathagata, accomplished and fully enlightened, inclines to inaction rather than to teaching the Dhamma. Then, just as quickly as a strong man might extend his flexed arm or flex his extended arm, the Brahma Sahampati vanished in the Brahma world and appeared before me. He arranged his upper robe on one shoulder and, extending his hands in reverential salutation towards me, said, Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One teach the Dhamma. Let the Sublime One teach the Dhamma. There are beings with little dust in their eyes who are wasting through not hearing the Dhamma. There will be those who will understand the Dhamma. Then I listened to the Brahma's pleading, and out of compassion for beings, I surveyed the world with the eye of a Buddha. Surveying the world with the eye of a Buddha, I saw beings with little dust in their eyes, and with much dust in their eyes, with keen faculties and with dull faculties, with good qualities and with bad qualities, easy to teach and hard to teach, and some who dwelt, seeing fear and blame in the other world. Just as in a pond, a blue or red or white lotuses, some lotuses that are born and grow in the water thrive immersed in the water without rising out of it. And some other lotuses that are born and grow in the water rest on the water surface. And some other lotuses that are born and grow in the water rise out of the water and stand clear, unwetted by it. So too, surveying the world with the eye of a Buddha, I saw beings with little dust in their eyes, and with much dust in their eyes, with keen faculties and with dull faculties, with good qualities and with bad qualities, easy to teach and hard to teach, and some who dwelt seeing fear and blame in the other world. Then I replied to the Brahma Sahampati in stanzas. Open for them are the doors to the deathless. Let those with ears now show their faith. Thinking it would be troublesome, O Brahma, I did not speak the Dhamma, subtle and sublime. So that's a couple accounts of the Buddha's search, his realization. And we could do a chant, which is another account coming from the comes from the Dhammapada, although it's not mentioned there. But it's the Buddha's. It's the account of what the Buddha's first exclamation was on his realization that he had freed himself from suffering, freed himself from the kind of worldly tendencies, and was liberated. So that's on page 83 in volume 1, the dark brown book. And these are, of course, they're short, a couple short verses, but they're very meaningful in the sense that the Buddha is reflecting on the sense of the kind of the enormity of having freed himself from, it's samsara is called the round of birth, but it's also literally it means wandering on. So it's, one can look at it, say, cosmologically in terms of wandering through realms of birth and death and different worlds, but also just you think of just in a day, how many times are we wandering on in our thoughts and feelings and daydreaming and whatever. It's just this constant wandering on, to be able to come to a place of complete stillness and clarity. So that, say, whether it's on a small scale or whether it's on the kind of the universal scale, this is something to delight in. Andamayang patama bundam hasida gathayo panamase aneka jati sansarang sandhavisan anipisan gahakarang rave santho dukkachati punno punam. For many lifetimes in the round of birth, wandering on endlessly, for the builder of this house I searched. How painful is repeated birth. Gahakarakaraditosi punnagehanmakahasi sambhake pasukabhanga gahakutam sankatan visankaragatam chitam tanhanan hayang archaka. House builder, you can see. Another home you will not build. All your rafters have been snapped, dismantled as your ridgepole. The non-constructing mind has come to craving's end. The next chant that we could do is in Volume 2, the light brown book, and it's the... and we'll chant it in English this evening. And this is the first teaching of the Buddha, page 2. That's the first teaching of the Buddha, and is the setting in motion of the wheel of Dhamma. Beginning of the teaching, but it's also an account of the essence of the Buddha's insight into his own liberation and what can be the basis for all the rest of us over this whole time. And this middle way of both of practice but also of view is an opportunity for us to take in, internalize, to reflect. That's one of the qualities of the Buddha's teaching, the Dhamma that he taught, was that it's a open ego, it's leading inwards. We have to draw it into the heart for that opportunity for transformation. So, invite Ajahn Kurundamo to do the introduction.
This is the first teaching of the Tathagata on attaining to unexcelled perfect enlightenment. Here is the perfect turning of the incomparable wheel of truth, inestimable wherever it is expounded in the world. Disclosed here are the two extremes and the middle way, with the Four Noble Truths and the purified knowledge and vision pointed out by the Lord of Dhamma. Let us chant together this sutta, proclaiming the supreme independent enlightenment that is widely renowned as the turning of the wheel of the Dhamma.
Thus have I heard. Once when the Blessed One was staying in the dear sanctuary at Isipatana near Benares, he spoke to the group of 5 bhikkhus. These two extremes, bhikkhus, should not be followed by one who has gone forth. Sensual indulgence, which is low, coarse, vulgar, ignoble, and unprofitable, and self-torture, which is painful, ignoble, and unprofitable. Because by avoiding these two extremes, the Tathagata has realized the middle way, which gives vision and understanding, which leads to calm, penetration, enlightenment, to Nibbana. And what bhikkhus is the middle way realized by the Tathagata, which gives vision and understanding, which leads to calm, penetration, enlightenment, to Nibbana. It is just this noble eightfold path, namely, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Truly, bhikkhus, this middle way, understood by the Tathagata, produces vision, produces knowledge, and leads to calm, penetration, enlightenment, to Nibbana. This, bhikkhus, is the noble truth of dukkha. Birth is dukkha, aging is dukkha, death is dukkha, grief, lamentation, pain, sorrow, and despair are dukkha. Association with the disliked is dukkha. Separation from the light is dukkha. Not to get what one wants is dukkha. In brief, clinging to the 5 khandhas is dukkha. This, bhikkhus, is the noble truth of the cause of dukkha. The craving which causes rebirth and is bound up with pleasure and lust, ever seeking fresh delight, now here, now there, namely, craving for sense pleasure, craving for existence, and craving for annihilation. This, bhikkhus, is the noble truth of the cessation of dukkha, the complete cessation, giving up, abandonment of that craving, complete release from that craving, and complete detachment from it. This, bhikkhus, is the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of dukkha. Only this noble eightfold path, namely, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration.
This is the noble truth of dukkha.
There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. With a thought, this is the noble truth of dukkha, and this dukkha has to be understood. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before.
With the thought, this is the noble truth of dukkha, and this dukkha has
been understood. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. With the thought, this is the noble truth of the cause of dukkha. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. With the thought, this is the noble truth of the cause of dukkha, and this cause of dukkha has to be abandoned. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. With the thought, this is the noble truth of the cause of dukkha, and this cause of dukkha has been abandoned. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. With the thought, this is the noble truth of the cessation of dukkha. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. With the thought, this is the noble truth of the cessation of dukkha, and this cessation of dukkha has to be realized. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. With the thought, this is the noble truth of the cessation of dukkha, and the cessation of dukkha has been realized. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. With the thought, this is the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of dukkha. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. With the thought, this noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of dukkha has to be developed. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. With the thought, this noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of dukkha has been developed. There arose in me, bhikkhus, vision, knowledge, insight, wisdom, light, concerning things unknown before. So long, bhikkhus, as my knowledge and vision of reality regarding these Four Noble Truths in their 3 phases and 12 aspects was not fully clear to me, I did not declare to the worlds of spirits, demons, and gods, with its seekers and sages, celestial and human beings, the realization of incomparable, perfect enlightenment. But when, bhikkhus, my knowledge and vision of reality regarding these Four Noble Truths in their 3 phases and 12 aspects was fully clear to me, I declared to the world of spirits, demons, and gods, with its seekers and sages, celestial and human beings, that I had realized incomparable, perfect enlightenment. Knowledge and vision arose. Unshakable is my deliverance. This is the last birth. There will be no more renewal of being. Thus spoke the Blessed One. Glad at heart, the group of 5 bhikkhus approved of the words of the Blessed One. As this exposition was proceeding, the spotless, immaculate vision of the Dhamma appeared to the Venerable Kondanya, and he knew everything that has the nature to arise has the nature to cease. When the Blessed One had set in motion the wheel of Dhamma, the earth-bound devas proclaimed with one voice, "The incomparable wheel of Dhamma has been set in motion by the Blessed One in the dear sanctuary at Isipatana, near Benares, and no seeker, Brahman, celestial being, demon, god, or any other being in the world can stop it." Having heard what the earthbound devas said, the devas of the four great kings proclaimed with one voice. Having heard what the devas of the four great kings said, the devas of the 33 proclaimed with one voice.
Having heard what the devas of the 33 said,
the Yama devas proclaimed with one voice. Having heard what the Yama devas said, the devas of delight proclaimed with one voice. Having heard what the devas of delight said, the devas who delight in creating proclaimed with one voice. Having heard what the devas who delight in creating said, the devas who delight in the creations of others proclaimed with one voice. Having heard what the devas who delight in the creations of others said, the Brahma gods proclaimed with one voice. The incomparable wheel of Dhamma has been set in motion by the Blessed One in the dear sanctuary at Isipatana near Benares, and no seeker, Brahman, celestial being, demon, god, or any other being in the world can stop it. Thus, in a moment, an instant, a flash, word of the setting in motion of the wheel of Dhamma went forth up to the Brahma world, and a 10,000-fold universal system trembled and quaked and shook, and a boundless sublime radiance surpassing the power of devas appeared on earth. Then the Blessed One made the utterance, "Truly Kondanya has understood. Kondanya has understood." Thus it was that the Venerable Kondanya got the name Anya Kondanya, Kondanya who understands. Thus ends the discourse on setting in motion the wheel of Dhamma. We can take the opportunity to have a period of quiet meditation. And using the one of the traditional meditation subjects is Buddhanusati, recollection of the Buddha. And so bringing to mind and particularly, say, for this ceremony, these ceremonies that we'll be doing for this consecration of the image and the hall, bringing to mind the qualities of the Buddha, in Thai, the standard translation of Buddha is the one who knows, the awakened one, the radiant one. And of course these are qualities that we ourselves can be lifting up into our minds, our hearts. We have that opportunity to bring to mind and embody those qualities, just to encourage us all lifting those qualities up in the mind, but then also recollecting the actual physical Buddha that we have here, because it's by our aspirations and our recollections or directing of attention that we can imbue a physical space, a physical object, with certain qualities. That those qualities of peace, of wisdom, of purity are symbolized in the physical presence of the image, and that can, as we keep bringing that to mind, of course it's a support for ourselves, that giving meaning is something that is, say, of a physical nature, as it has its effect, it has its kind of a resonance, so that it's something that it's sort of like creating a sacred space, the image, the hall, the monastery, really. But of course, this is a focal point, so that it's something that in terms of one of the qualities that the Buddha encouraged us all to pay attention to was bringing benefit to ourselves and bringing benefit to others. That having that, bringing that to mind and realizing and delighting in that we have that opportunity, and sit quietly. so we can take the opportunity to have a bit of a break and stretch our legs, do what needs to be done, come back for part two. Okay, so we'll begin the second part of the ceremony, and we've called this a consecration ceremony. So it's the opportunity to bring blessings and to generate blessings for ourselves and for others. And one of the there's a very ancient chants is this next one, which is a sort of affirmation of our commitment to the refuge of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And it's this having refuge, which is one of the central parts of in ancient Buddhism, and even say in the time of the Buddha, just the taking of the refuges constituted the ordination for monastic ordination in the early years, and then similarly for as the dispensation of the Buddhas grew and the monastic community grew, the lay community grew, then that recollection of having a refuge in the ideal of the Buddha, in that sense of the quality of what embodies wisdom, compassion, purity, of the teaching of the noble Sangha. That was one of the central features of a lay Buddhist. So the Buddhist community formed around these refuges, and of course that has carried on through time, and I can remember reading the accounts of Ajahn Mun and the early disciples of Ajahn Mun traveling through the countryside in the northeast of Thailand, and so much of what they were doing and teaching. You know, think, well, these are these great meditation masters, and they're teaching everybody how to meditate, and mostly they were teaching what is an actual refuge, what's a true refuge, and of course this aspect of as we gather here today, the Buddha as the central piece. And but it symbolizes what has come from the Buddha, of course, his teaching and the noble community which has passed that on. So that, bringing that to mind, recollecting that, and realizing that this is things which brings blessings to ourselves and brings blessings to others, and so that the chant that we'll do is a articulation of that. So we'll actually do it twice, in the sense we'll chant it in Pali, but it is first a directing outward of blessings, saying may you be blessed always, and then the next one is bringing it back in, may I be blessed. So that there's this generating of blessings and creating that focus. So. Andamayan Satya Kiryagatayo Panamase Nati me saranang anyang Bodho me saranang walang Ekena Satya Vajena Sotite Hotu Sambada Nati me saranang anyang Dhammo me saranang walang Ekena Satya Vajena Sotite Hotu Sambada Nati me saranang anyang Sangho me saranang walang Ekena Satya Vajena Sotite Hotu Sambada Nati me saranang anyang Buddho me saranang walang Ekena Satya Vajena Soti me Hotu Sambada Nati me saranang anyang Dhammo me saranang walang Ekena Satya Vajena Soti me Hotu Sambada Nati me saranang anyang Sangho me saranang walang Ekena Satya Vajena Soti me Hotu Sambada. So this next chant that we'll do is a recollection of the qualities which the Buddha brought into being and were the basis for his liberation. So and these are what are called bharami. They're spiritual qualities, and of course, again, this is a sense of yes, this is what the Buddha did, but it's also what the qualities which we also have to cultivate or have the opportunity to cultivate. The qualities of generosity, of virtue, of renunciation, of wisdom, of effort, of patience, of truth, of determination, of loving kindness, and of equanimity. These are the spiritual virtues, spiritual qualities, which have the power to literally mean crossing over, crossing over from the samsara, wandering on, never-ending restlessness of the deluded mind, to the peace of nibbana. And it's through those embodying and bringing into being these qualities that we can truly transform ourselves. And of course that is what the Buddha himself did. And that these, when we look at a Buddha image, rather than looking at it as a nice sculpture or a ghastly sculpture, it is a recollection or reminder of these qualities which we have the opportunity to cultivate. So we can, and as we chanted, it's also the 10 spiritual qualities, but they're also in the traditional mode of reflection, how the Buddha cultivated them is that they're done in the ordinary level of generosity, having charity, giving, sharing, but then also a sense of the superior quality, real going out of your way to really both cultivate generosity, virtue, all these other qualities. And then Paramatma Bharami, they say that at a supreme level, at a transcendent level, so that one is it has a transcendent quality to it, so that we can bring these qualities to mind and as we do the chant. Anaparami sammanodana upaparami sammanodana paramattaparami sammano metta maitri karuna mudita upekka parami sammano iti piso bhagava Sila parami samhano sila upaparami samhano sila paramata parami samhano metta maitri karuna mudita upekka parami samhano iti piso bhagava Nekhamma parami sammano nekhamma upaparami sammano nekhamma paramata parami sammano metta maitri karuna mudita upekka parami sammano iti piso bhagava Panya parami sammanno panya upaparami sammanno panya paramatta parami sammanno metta maitri karuna mudita upekka parami sammanno iti piso bhagava Virya parami sammanno virya upaparami sammanno virya paramatta parami sammanno metta maitri karuna mudita upekka parami sammanno iti piso bhagava Kanti parami sammanno kanti upaparami sammanno kanti paramatta parami sammanno metta maitri karuna mudita upekka parami sammanno iti piso bhagava Satya parami sammanno satya upaparami sammanno satya paramata parami sammanno metta maitri karuna mudita upekka parami sammanno iti piso bhagava Adhithana parami sammanno adhithana upaparami sammanno adhithana paramatta parami sammanno metta maitri karuna mudita upekka parami sammanno iti piso bhagava Metta parami sammanno metta upaparami sammanno metta paramatta parami sammanno metta maitri karuna mudita upekka parami sammanno iti piso bhagava Upekka parami sammanno upekka upaparami sammanno upekka paramatta parami sammanno เมตตาไมตรีกรุณามุทิตาอุเบกขาบารมีสัมปันโนอิติปิโสภะคะวาดัสสะปารมีสัมปันโนดัสสะอุปปารมีสัมปันโนดัสสะปรมัตถปารมีสัมปันโนเมตตาไมตรีกรุณามุทิตาอุเบกขาบารมีสัมปันโนอิติปิโสภะคะวาOkay. So the next chant that we will do, which is a fundamental or root teaching of the Buddhas, and it's on page 85 of volume 1 of the chanting books. It's a dark. And this is the teaching on mindfulness of breathing. And of course the Buddha taught many different techniques and methods of meditation or practice. But in terms of looking at the overall body of the Buddha's teachings, this is the most frequently referenced and considered the most complete form of meditation practice and meditation training. And certainly the breath is always with us. And so it's important to realize that we have this tool to hand. It's close to us, and we can use this tool of directing attention to our breath, so that we can cultivate knowledge of the different aspects of our body and mind, of our human experience, recognizing the experience of being in a body, and with its trajectory of birth through growth, development, aging, and ending in death. All the different feelings that we experience in the body, and in the realm of feeling itself, and the sense of we tend to, of course, every experience that we have is accompanied by a feeling tone, and something as simple as pleasant, painful, neutral, and then through its associations, its perceptions, that feeling tone, we create stories, we create the world outside, we create the world inside, we create beauty and peace, we create chaos and confusion. But it comes from this little simple sense of feeling. And so that the Buddha is first, or part of his teaching is to be able to experience pay attention to our experience, to feel it, to be able to be sensitive to what both the body and the mind, and sensitive to what we create out of it, that's sensitive to the mental formations that are constructed out of ordinary experience. Where does it take us? What to do? What possibilities does it have? Are we taking responsibility for it? Are we using it for transformation? So these are picking up, it's just with something like that, the breath, which we're breathing in, breathing out all the time. It's ordinary, but taking an ordinary experience and learning from it so that it has the power for, just as the as in the sutta, it's like to fulfill true knowledge and deliverance. So that it has that capability. It's one of the gifts that the Buddha has given us, that we can chant this together. Annamayang anapana sati sutapatang mananase anapana sati bhikkhave bhavita bahulikata. Because when mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, mahapala hoti mahani sansa, it is of great fruit and great benefit. Anapana sati bhikkhave bhavita bahulikata. When mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, Chataro satipatthane paripureti. It fulfills the four foundations of mindfulness. Chataro satipatthana bhavita bahulikata. When the four foundations of mindfulness are developed and cultivated, Satabhojange paripurenti. They fulfill the 7 factors of awakening. Satabhojanga bhavita bahulikata. When the 7 factors of awakening are developed and cultivated, vijali muktim paripurenti. They fulfill true knowledge and deliverance. Katham bhavita cha bhikkhave anapana sati katham bahulikata. And how because is mindfulness of breathing developed and cultivated, mahapala hoti mahani samsa, so that it is of great fruit and great benefit. Illa bhikkhave bhikkhu, here bhikkhus a bhikkhu, aranyagatoa, gone to the forest, rukamulagatoa, to the foot of a tree, sunyakarakatoa, or to an empty hut, nisidati palankam abhujitva, sits down having crossed his legs, ujjum kayam panidaya parimukhan satim upatapetva, sets his body erect, having established mindfulness in front of him. So satova asasati satova asasati. Ever mindful he breathes in, mindful he breathes out. Digamva asasando digam asasamiti pajanati. Breathing in long, he knows I breathe in long. Digamva pasasando digam pasasamiti pajanati. Breathing out long, he knows I breathe out long. Rasamva asasando rasan asasamiti pajanati. Breathing in short, he knows I breathe in short. Rasanva pasasando rasan pasasamiti pajanati. Breathing out short, he knows I breathe out short. Sammakaya pati samveti asasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the whole body. Sammakaya pati samveti pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe out, experiencing the whole body. Pasammayang kaya sanharang nasasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the bodily formations. Pasammayang kaya sanharang pasasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the bodily formations. Iti pati samveti asasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing rapture. Iti pati samveti pasasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing rapture. Sukha pati samveti asasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing pleasure. Sukha pati samveti pasasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing pleasure. Chitta sankhara pati samveti asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe in, experiencing the mental formations. Chitta sankhara pati samveti pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe out, experiencing the mental formations. Pasammayam chitta sankharam nasasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the mental formations. Pasammayam chitta sankharam pasasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the mental formations. Chitta pati samveti asasi samiti sikati. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the mind. Chitta pati samveti pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe out, experiencing the mind. Abhipamodayam chittam asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe in, gladdening the mind. Abhipamodayam chittam pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe out, gladdening the mind. Sammadaham chittam asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe in, concentrating the mind. Sammadaham chittam asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe out, concentrating the mind. Vimochayam chittam asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe in, liberating the mind. Vimochayam chittam asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe out, liberating the mind. Aniccanupasi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe in, contemplating impermanence. Aniccanupasi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe out, contemplating impermanence. Viraganupasi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe in, contemplating the fading away of passions. Viraganupasi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe out, contemplating the fading away of passions. Nirvana asasi samiti sikati.
he trains thus. I shall breathe in, contemplating cessation. Nirodhanupasi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains thus. I shall breathe out, contemplating cessation. Pati nisarganupasi asasi samiti sikati. He trains thus. I shall breathe in, contemplating relinquishment. Pati nisarganupasi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains thus. I shall breathe out, contemplating relinquishment. Evan bhavita ko bhikkhave anapanasati evan bahurikata. Because that is how mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated. Mahapalahoti mahani sansati. So that it is of great benefit.
Yeah, we could take the opportunity to have another short period of quiet sitting. We just using the breath to bring to mind qualities of the Buddha. As we sit and experiencing breath, experiencing the body, experiencing healing, experiencing the mind, but not just in a passive way, but in a way of engaging attention. And it's that engaging of attention that I'm getting the reflection there. Whoops. A problem with these lights. There's a problem with everything, really. The nature of samsara. But found. You turn everything off. And then the bottom one. Good enough. Easier. The good information for our meeting with the electrician next week. That's one of the qualities that the Buddha embodies, is a sense of living in and acknowledging imperfection of the world, but not making a problem of it. So often what the mind can do is take an imperfection and make it a problem. And then not just to make it a problem for oneself, make it a problem for others as well. In terms of when we recollect the qualities of Buddha, think of the quality of Bhagawa. Think of that Namo Tassa Bhagavato. The Bhagawa is one who brings blessings into the world. Of course, that's what we have the opportunity to do as well, just recollecting the Buddha, being the one who knows, awakening truth, and bringing blessings into the world. So this evening, a consecration ceremony, a recollecting the image of the Buddha as a symbol, bringing blessings into the world. When we bring blessings into the world, and we ourselves, we're blessed by that, able to be transformed by that. Sitting quietly, breath, being with the one who knows. Okay, so we can end the evening with verses of sharing and aspiration, dedications of merit, blessings. Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain a threefold bliss and realize the deathless through the goodness that arises from my practice. And through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. Closing homage on page 28. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Vakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami.